Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I was clone number 9.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Alien Resurrection. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, 200 years after the end of Alien 3, the company controlled by the military have managed to clone Lieutenant Ripley. They managed to get a blood sample from Fury 161 and have been cloning her over the last 200 years and have finally managed to make a perfect Ripley. They use this opportunity to take the chest burster out from inside of her and go about to develop the alien species as a biological weapon. A group of space pirates on the Betty come aboard the USS Aurora and deliver a shipment of colonists so that the military can use them as hosts for the aliens. But, as this is an alien movie, they all escape and lots of people start to die.
So, coming off the back of Alien 3, where all of the characters are dead, the xenomorph has been wiped out. So, we need a way to bring back the alien and a way to bring back Sigourney Weaver as Ripley. Who's the man to do this? Enter Joss Whedon, who just recently has resurrected his lead actress from the dead in the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, none other than Joss Whedon was brought in to resurrect one of cinema's greatest figures, Ellen Ripley. And the film starts out with her already resurrected, so to speak. She is alive, and you can see that they're performing surgery on her and removing the alien queen that we thought had perished with her in the last film.
Yeah.
So not only did they clone Ripley, they cloned her at the exact point that she had the alien embryo inside her. And they explained that they got the tissues and blood samples from Fury 1-6.
We used blood samples from Fury 16 on ice, where you died.
1. You forgot to add the 1 at the end. This is also from director Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who's a French director who would go on after this to make some pretty good films.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to say now, Alien Resurrection is an utter disappointment.
You know, I always hear that, and I don't think it's completely founded. The fact that from what I believe is that over the course of the years, yes, they did rush to cash in on the success of the Alien movies, to cash in on the franchise, all the games, the toys, the books, the comic books, everything that was being built up over the course of Aliens, and Alien 3. They were just like, well, we need to just keep making more and more money through this. We need to keep milking this. And they'd already had, Sigourney Weaver's disapproval at wanting to come back and do Alien 3, but they managed to obviously get through the production of that and bring it out. But the fact that, once again, I was still quite young when Resurrection was released, and I believed that the film had been done at the end of Alien 3. I was happy. As depressing as Alien 3 is, I was happy that it was over. Let's close that little chapter. But before you know it, people start kicking up a fuss and throwing their toys out the pram. We want another Alien film. We want you to bring Sigourney Weaver back. We want you to do everything that James Cameron did in Aliens. It doesn't work. It doesn't. You need an original script. You need an original idea. And yes, okay, I was not completely convinced on the whole 200 years in the future setting, but it did what the other 3 films had done and separated itself from Alien 3, from Aliens, from Alien. It was a new view of the future. Bringing Sigourney Weaver back, yeah, okay, that's just to play on the fans. I believe that this film could have stood on its own without her presence. But bringing in the science behind it, the whole cloning process, a bit far-fetched that they caught her at the point of having the chest burster in her. But we know from Alien 3, she had the chest burster in her all the way through the film. So they could have taken a blood sample from Clemens right at the start of the movie of Alien 3. Maybe get one right at the end of her having a nosebleed. I don't know, but the alien was always inside her. Seeing the genetic byproducts of this, the fact that this isn't Ellen Ripley. It's not. It's a clone. She is clone number 8. And the fact that you do see 1 through 7 later on in the film, it's quite horrifying.
Ellen Ripley died trying to wipe this species out. For all intents and purposes, she succeeded. I'm not anxious to see her taking up her old hobbies.
That won't happen. We won't tell her.
Oh, I see. And that's supposed to comfort me.
It is pretty horrifying because I always go into this film trying to decide to myself how much investment do I want to give to Ripley.
Yeah.
And once again, there is the theatrical version and sort of the director's special edition, if you will.
Yeah.
And noticeably, with the special edition, the introduction is wholly different. And you get one very long shot from all the way up to the jaws of an alien,
Yeah.
which, when revealed back, reveals that it's some kind of space bug that we've never seen before,
Yeah.
which consequently ends up getting squished and then splattered up against the window pane. It's kind of foreshadowing. And it is a kind of interesting shot as the camera pulls all the way back and you reveal this space station. We do get to Ripley, or clone number 8, and throughout the special edition, extra scenes have been added which would lead you more to be sympathetic with this clone of Ripley.
Yeah.
Because this clone of Ripley has inherited memories. She's inherited these memories of her former life, so she recalls what happened on the Nostromo, what happened on Fury 161, what happened with Newt. Although she can't remember the girl's name,
Yeah.
there is an awful moment when they're trying to teach her to speak or to remember words, and the scientist holds up the picture of the girl, and you can see the clone of Ripley reacting quite badly to it.
Yeah.
Like she is aware of her own loss, and waking up in this strange environment where you're powerless really to do anything, and also having what would appear the alien inside her as well,
Yeah.
as the human Ellen Ripley. So yes, this is not Ellen Ripley. Ellen Ripley's story ended in the previous movie. What we're seeing here, though, is sort of the ripple or the ghost of Ripley.
Yeah.
That's still in there, merged with an alien, and it is an interesting concept. And they do have some interesting scenes in the film that go into it. Although it's still just, it's not enough. It's not what the film is about.
Yeah. I'll give that. I mean, this film's not brilliant. Coming off the back of, obviously, Ridley Scott's classic, James Cameron's amazing visual fest, and even David Fincher's own take on this, on the franchise, Resurrection, like I said, was just kind of like cash milk. And I do enjoy it, but only when I'm sitting through the series. I won't purposely say to myself, you know what, let's watch Alien Resurrection, because I'm like, there are better Alien movies. But even with that, the characters are just cannon fodder. I will just admit that right out now. But there are some fun, interesting characters. I mean, before I get to the crew on the bay, General Perez, I always find is very fun to be around. It's the way he describes to the scientist, you know what? Ripley is not the prize. She's a meat byproduct. This is what we're after. The Queen. And we certainly do not want Ripley taking up her old hobby.
Haha, very funny. Yes, we remember what happened in the other movies very clearly. We don't need running gags throughout the film that remind us of the better films.
But at the same time, like I said, you know, this is a new director, so and a new writer. They
Well, if you mention the writing again, I also just want to bring up now that Joss Whedon, just like David Fincher, disowned the film. You try ever bring up Alien Resurrection to Joss Whedon, he will walk away from you. He won't even acknowledge the question. He has washed his hands of the script that he turned in to 20th Century Fox. In the few instances where he has talked about it, he said that his script was butchered and bastardized beyond recognition. Now, I do blame Joss Whedon for the humor that has seeped its way into Alien Resurrection, despite the narrative or the plot twists or any of those other things. The humor of the characters are arguably Joss Whedon, because in any Joss Whedon film or product, you are instantly aware of the comic effect that he has, and within his projects, it works. Bringing his sort of sense of humor to the Alien films is a horrible marriage that should have never happened. And I love Joss Whedon's works. I was a big fan of Buffy and Angel and all the other films that he's written up until this date. I think that's distinctly Joss Whedon, but it just doesn't work in an Alien movie. And it shouldn't.
So, like, what did you do?
I died.
We get introduced to the Betty crew, and they're not likable characters already. You're looking at Jonah, who's acting like a Neanderthal ape man. And you're like, how are you supposed to like that character? Yeah, okay, yeah. How are you supposed to like any of the characters from Alien 3?
Yeah.
Granted, okay. But, you know, at least those were criminals that were paying for their crime. These are mercenaries that are doing some really, really horrible things, like kidnapping people whilst they're in cryosleep and selling them off to a military vessel for whatever reason. They don't even care. And that tells you about these characters.
There are only a few of the Betty crew that I actually do like. I mean, the captain of the Betty crew...
He's an interesting character. He is still, in any other movie, a villain.
Yeah, but I've always grown to... Over the years, I've grown to appreciate those actors.
Yes.
You know, I don't like the characters, but I appreciate the actors. I don't know what it is, but it's just his voice.
Hey, son, I'll give you my authorization code. It's EATME.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you repeat that?
His pilot wife, she's got a nice ass.
I'll give you that.
Jonah, played by Ron Perlman. I find it really difficult not to like Ron Perlman.
I know, Ron Perlman is brilliant. He is Hellboy, and I'm a fan of all the Hellboy movies and anything that Ron Perlman is attached to. Even his straight-to-DVD B-movie schlockiness is still great for Ron Perlman.
And the fact with his Jonah character, I like his uplifting moments, because if you didn't have those uplifting moments, the film would be as depressing as Alien 3. And Alien 3 is depressing on its own. The mechanic character, I have seen him in some other films, and he is an interesting character. I do like the way that he spent most of his time just in that chair. You know, the design of it was quite nifty. So halfway through the film, even now after seeing it so many times, I do believe that he is crippled.
No offense, man.
None taken.
Winona Ryder. Now, that's a name which can be difficult to say sometimes. She has had some good performances, and then she's had some bad performances. And Resurrection, she walks a very fine line, because she's too clean to be part of the Betty crew. So I'm suspicious of her right from the start. You know, just her trying to act drunk sometimes is just kind of unbelievable.
Jesus Christ, Johnner, what do you put in this shit? Battery acid?
Just for color.
But then the moments that she does have up against Sigourney Weaver, they're not as good as, say, Dylan in Alien 3, but when you're in the presence of Sigourney fucking Weaver, it's very hard to try and get onto the same length as her.
So it is revealed to us that Cal, played by Winona Ryder, has planted herself as part of the Betty crew just so that she could get to the Aurora, so she could assassinate Ripley to stop them from taking the alien out of her, creating all the aliens and wiping out the whole of humanity. That's her plan. And so when she does break into Ripley's sort of quarters where she's laying, pulls out the knife, Ripley just very quickly talks her down and explains to her that she doesn't have a chance.
They've taken it out of you. Where is it? Is it on the ship?
You mean my baby?
And then, of course, Cal is captured and escorted off. And we're still kind of waiting for the aliens. And we are revealed that the Betty crew has obviously taken these people out of cryosleep, and the scientists have rigged up these stations where they're going to have these eggs that have been laid by the Queen, which they've taken from Ripley, to impregnate all of these people that have come out of cryosleep.
Yeah.
Which is pretty goddamn disturbing. I'll give you that. Waking up out of cryosleep, expecting to get up and then go to work, only to have an egg right in your face, exploding. And then, of course, a few hours later, chestbursters have come out, and before we know it, the scientists have got at least 2 to 3 aliens in every one of these holding cells. Which is ridiculous, because they already are aware of what these aliens can do.
Yeah.
They've read the history books of what the company has reported them to do. They know these aliens have acid for blood.
Yeah.
They know that these aliens can spit acid. And it annoys me when you see them in these small containers and they've got one button that can freeze the room to try and stop the aliens, but it doesn't seem like they're going to have somebody watching every single pen that they've got the aliens in. And yet, lo and behold, even though the one pen that they're watching, the aliens decide to have a little bit of a conversation between themselves about which one they're going to sacrifice in order to make an acid bath so that they can escape.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have the aliens just forgotten that they can spit acid? They could spit acid at the window that's separating them and the humans right now. Or they could all pull together and spit at the floor, which will melt it away so they could escape. But no. The aliens have to kill one of their own kind so that then they can escape. And then go and knowingly go and open all the other doors for all the other alien pens. It just starts to fall apart the more you think about it.
Yeah. This is the thing with Alien Resurrection. Don't start picking it apart because it will just fall apart in your hands. I mean, that sequence alone. I'm a big fan of Brad Dourif.
I am a huge fan of Brad Dourif. The voice of Charles Lee Ray, the Chucky franchise, all of his appearances in anything, Brad Dourif is iconic.
But his character in this film as...
Gedderman.
Yeah, as likeable as he is at points, it's just ridiculous. He's just ridiculous. He spends one scene trying to kiss an alien through the glass. He spends another scene after the aliens have escaped from the cage walking into the cage to see where they've gone. You know this is a hostile life form which will kill you in seconds. But you're going to go into its cage and look for them. Well, duh. When he gets grabbed and pulled through the hole, that's it. He's disappeared for the rest of the movie until his final appearance at the end. Not getting to the end yet, but I just sit there and I'm like, what was the point in his character? J.E. Freeman as Ren. I really hate. But I hate in a good way to his character. His character is just a complete ass all the way through. And he's like Burke, but right in your face.
Yeah.
You know, I work for the company. I'm a science officer. I'm doing this for all the rewards that I can get, so fuck you. And it still annoys me that I'm just like, why did you leave him alive all the way through? They leave him alive, so we will get to my favorite scene later on. But at the same time, just some of the dialogue that he delivers, some of the mannerisms that he has, the sequence with Ripley in the mess hall, and the way he just kind of shoves that noodle into his mouth is really horrible and kind of uncomfortable. But I enjoy that because I know that that's what his character is supposed to do to me.
Oh, well, it won't make any difference. You're still gonna die.
How do you feel about that?
So the aliens have escaped. People are dying all over the place. Marines are leaving the ship I think
So this was where the film could have had so much promise. If they wanted to recreate aliens and have an action sequence, they really failed on this behalf because within like 20 seconds, all of the Marines or soldiers or security personnel have evacuated or are dead.
Yeah.
Instantly. It's such a cop-out. And granted, the sequence where Perez rolls the grenade into the escape pod as the escape pod is jettisoned, you watch it explode, and you're like, yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then Perez, yeah, he gives a salute. I'm like, okay, whatever. You see the other security guard sort of back away into the corner in fear. You see the shape of the alien behind Perez, and then you hear the skull puncture, and I'm like, okay, he's dead. Cut. Oh, wait, we're still still lingering around here. He's still alive. What? Oh look, he's feeling around with his scrambled brain. I'm like, this is something we expect to see out of Peter Jackson's bad taste.
I do find that bit just fun. Like I said, I always find Perez a cool, fun character. And then when he pulls his own brain out of his head, I'm like, yay! You know, it's just...
It's turning into a cartoon.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's like I said, it's not anywhere as good as the previous 3 movies. We're kind of just like the crew of the Betty. We're just wanting to get off this ship now, and this is it. The film carries on. We spend the rest of the film kind of just running through corridors.
And this is where I was saying that you've come here to see the aliens. We've seen a few shots of them. We've had one glorious shot of the Queen in her cell. We've had some of the aliens breaking free. But then we don't really get to see that much of the alien. And then when we do, it kind of reminds me of the Godzilla sort of creatures that we saw in the American version of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Especially when you see them walking around on 2 legs.
Yeah.
I'm like, gone are the aliens
That
from the
scrambled
previous
on the
movies
walls.
that are scrambling on ceilings and walls. These ones are just happy just to bound around on 2 feet really slowly. It's just like, well, it doesn't give me that sense of menace that I got from the other films. And then after, there's a sequence where they have to go underwater.
Before the underwater sequence, I actually really like that set. The sequence itself, yeah, you could destroy in a second. But I do kind of just like that set. The fact that, you know, you're making these actors walk through all this water. And I especially like Christie's character. Well, the actor playing Christie. The character is not really that enjoyable, really. But the fact that, you know, he has to carry the mechanic on his back. It kind of just makes me look more into the film. The fact that, you know, the strain it must have put on the actor to actually act out those scenes while carrying another guy on his back. It's pretty admirable.
It is. And I do like the one joke that he makes about not doing the backstroke when he gets to the other side. I thought that was fitting for the characters.
Yeah.
But it's the last hurrah for the xenomorph in this film, the underwater sequence, because really, after this entire sequence, we don't really see the alien do anything after this.
No.
And this is just after the midpoint of the film, which is why I would say it's wholly disappointing. Now, the underwater sequence is the greatest set piece of the entire film. Watching them go underwater, watching them swim, it's captured. The cinematography for it is brilliant. I really got a sense that I was submerged in this much water.
Yeah.
And when you see the alien swimming through the water, I was like, wow. Now it's moving with the grace of the monster that we've seen previously. Now it feels like this thing is going to come at you and eat you. I get frustrated with the fact that this sequence is about 7 minutes long, and they all manage to hold their breath throughout the duration, despite you see them constantly breathing out throughout the sequence. They still manage to stay conscious.
Yeah.
And then you realise that they're trapped still underwater because the aliens built a trap or an ambush for them.
Yeah, okay, yeah, this bit is really stupid. So, they have to swim underneath all this water because the coolants have been ruptured to get to this ladder, and the aliens have... okay, so the queen is laying the eggs. But as the film would later reveal that the queen has stopped laying eggs. So the aliens have decided to move the eggs down to the bottom of this ladder, above this water, for just in case anybody's swimming through, and leave them there. But they've left them there for a large amount of time that they've created a film over the top of the water so that the people can't get through. So then it's like, well, you laid a trap, but you're going to drown them? Oh, well, no, they're going to break through, and then the facehuggers are going to attack. But lo and behold, Christie uses his magical aiming ability, like that we'd already seen in the film, to fire just two grenades up into the eggs. But then the eggs themselves explode like grenades. There's, two explosions go off, and then we get an additional 3, 4, 5, and 6 explosions. It's like, well, how? I didn't know eggs were...
Cluster grenades?
Yeah, this is where I've got my hands up, because I'm like, this bit, we're trying to get over the mistakes you've already previously shown us, and now you're showing us more. I can't dwell on it too much. My brain hurts.
So the film doesn't drop the action here. That continues as they're frantically climbing up the ladder, and the xenomorph, the alien, jumps up from the water, grabs onto the ladder, and starts climbing up. And as soon as he gets to his feet, kind of stops.
Yeah.
And just kind of like ducks left and right as Jonah swings down and starts shooting at the alien. The alien then spits acid at Christie's face, and Christie ends up kind of falling asleep. Paralyzed?
Yeah. He's firing at the alien. The alien's dodging. The alien spits the acid in his face. He calls to Jonah. Jonah starts firing down just randomly bullets. Luckily, he manages to get a perfect headshot. And then the exploded head body is just hanging on to Christie's leg. Now, I always believed that Christie was paralyzed at this point, and
paralyzed how? He got acid to the face. Granted, that's gonna hurt.
Well, now this is it. It's not really acid as we would consider it. The alien blood, the alien spit. It has a form like hydrochloric acid, but there must be other things inside it. So from obviously reading the books and the lore and stuff like that, the aliens do have a way of stunning or incapacitating their prey, be it through spit or just a tail or just through sheer strength. So that's what I always believed. I always believed the alien spat the acid on his face and he was paralyzed.
Yeah, he still got the strength to reach over, grab his knife, and cut himself free. I'm like, he's still got the strength to do that.
He's still moving. And the fact that nobody decides to climb down to help him.
No.
To pull him up. They all just kind of wait for him to free himself, and then you just watch him fall into the water. And I'm like, well, that's even worse. So he was still alive when he hit the water, so he's just going to drown himself?
It's such a waste. It is such a waste. And I have no real explanation for what happened there. And the ones that I've come across still don't stick. They don't stick at all.
Want to get even more confused? Cole, Winona Ryder's character, is shot by Ren, and she falls into the water. And it is revealed that she is actually an android built by androids. Like I said, I was quite suspicious of her from the start. But they get to the door, Ren shoots her in the stomach and she falls into the water, and Ren goes for the door and locks it. Everybody else, after Christy has perished, climbed up to the top, are stood by the door wondering what to do, and then Cole opens the door from the other side. So wait, she fell into the water, swam around somewhere else, came up a different entrance or exit, and opened the door from that side. Why didn't you just swim that way then?
It starts to infuriate me. It really does.
It will. That's what I want to put in. It will infuriate you if you try to explain it.
Yeah.
The thing is, we got so used to Aliens, and Alien 3 just guiding us all the way through that when we're dropped in on our own for Alien Resurrection, we kind of go, huh? What? No. Hey, what? Wait? No. Huh? But the thing, like I said, the thing with this film, I find, is you just got to go with it. And you go with it because, well, you're an Alien fan. You know, if you're going to watch 1, 2, and 3, you have to force yourself to watch Resurrection. You don't have to enjoy it, but you kind of just have to get through it.
Real nice party, ain't it?
So after an okay, interesting conversation between Cal and Ripley, we learn that Cal is programmed to be more humane than humans.
Yeah.
Where she actually cares for humanity and doesn't want to see them wiped out. And there's an interesting remark where Ripley's like, "Yeah, I tried that once. Don't really care for it anymore." They open up the escape route all the way to the Betty. And so they're all running to get to the Betty in time before it crashes into the earth.
Yeah.
And Ripley slows down. She's like, "Whoa, wait a minute. I can hear something. Something's going on." Everyone runs off, and Ripley stays there, and she goes like, "The Queen's in pain. The Queen's in pain." And before you know it, her gangplank is ripped open from beneath her. She falls through, and she lays there in what looks like an orgy of alien limbs, and it's like a wall of alien flesh with tails still going. And Ripley somehow gets submerged into it. She disappears inside it. And I do like the shot of the alien carrying Ripley back to the Queen. And I do also like Ripley's attire, because the top that she's wearing almost looks like she skinned an alien and is wearing it. And she looks up at the alien, and then she sort of holds it as she's being carried off. And it's kind of like she is a part of the family. At the same time, she is still, part human.
Yeah.
And she's brought to the Queen, and it's kind of messed up. The Queen is pregnant. She has human reproductive organs, yet is already pregnant.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, Brad Dourif obviously turns up at the end of the movie and kind of explains that obviously through the genetic manipulation, clone Ripley has taken on some attributes of the alien herself. She superior strength, intelligence.
She has acid for blood too.
Acid for blood, superior senses. So to reflect that, the alien Queen has picked up a few traits from Ripley, and obviously the alien Queen can give birth anywhere, anytime. We know this from Alien 3 with the fact that she laid the eggs on board the ship. All they need is a host for the facehugger. But through the genetic manipulation, she has grown her own uterus, her own ovaries, her own womb. And obviously still with the alien ability to just create, has become pregnant and has created this.
That ain't a beautiful butterfly. That is an abomination. The newborn is so unlike anything that the Alien franchise has given us before.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. still, after all these repeat viewings of the film, I can't stand the newborn. I can't stand the fact that it has eyes. I know, and I know that it's supposed to be because, I mean, we see the newborn. It kills the queen outright. It goes up to the queen and sniffs it and is like, "You ain't my mother."
Wham.
One hand, alien queen dealt with, dead.
Yeah.
We don't even see it die. It just sort of dies off screen. And then the newborn comes crawling over to Ripley and it's like, "Yeah, you're my mother." And I like the dynamic there.
Yeah.
I just don't like the actual design of the newborn.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the special features again, you can see that Cunningham had come up with quite a few various designs for this creature. Some of them incredibly frightening and still unlike anything we'd seen before, yet they seem to go for this option that we have in the film, which, although memorable, I just don't like it.
Yeah, see, I find that as well, is that, but the face does unsettle me. And it kind of does send chills up me more than seeing an alien. By this point, I'd seen an alien and I could probably stroke one if I ever got the chance. The newborn, with the noises it makes, 1 minute it's growling really, really deeply. The next minute it's making that high-pitched whine like it's a puppy. The whole time you have these large, black, kind of soulless eyes just looking at you. And then, you see the thing like the tongue licking out. So it is just a horrible thing to look at. But I do kind of appreciate that, because I'm like, if it had been cute, that would have been, too bad.
Yeah.
If it had been too horrific, I wouldn't have believed it. At least this thing helps the dynamic of the mother-child kind of relationship between Ripley and this thing. But when they kill it, oh my God!
It's pretty damn gross. And the alien is crying out in pain for its mother.
Yeah.
As it's very, very, very slowly being pulled out this tiny crack in the window. It's very memorable. It's kind of haunting as well.
The look it gives, the scream, the fact you watch its insides being pulled out its back, while the rest of it is imploding. It's like,
See, I'll praise them for doing something different with the whole blasting the creature out into space kind of trope, but it's making the creature going out the airlock. It's kind of an odd feeling to have.
Yeah. That's something I don't get either, but the whole film is quite unsettling.
Yeah, it's unsettling for different reasons.
Yeah, for different reasons.
And so they get to Earth, and it's kind of like, wow, how many characters survived this? There's like 4 characters still alive.
Yeah.
Well, we all know they'll be killed off at the beginning of the next film. Oh, no, wait, there's not gonna be a next film because this one tanked so badly. Granted, it was kind of an interesting concept to finally bring the Alien franchise back to Earth.
Yeah.
But you kind of get to see Earth, and it is a barren landscape. I think they've landed somewhere in France, and it looks like it now has a population of 0.
That's it. That's the director's cut. The original cut, it just cuts.
It just ends pretty much as soon as they arrive just above the planet.
The atmosphere in it is just like, whoosh, done. This one, we get to see France blowing up. And I can only get that because the director was French.
I expect so, yeah. I guess the most memorable moment in the film for me is when Ripley she comes across a door, and you realise that she's had the number 8 tattoo on her arm for the whole film, and she sees this door marked 1 to 7. So obviously she needs to investigate what's gone on in here, and it is a horror show. It is a horror freak show of all of the failed experiments that scientists have done. So, I mean, the Ripley that they made wasn't the first attempt. You can see that they've been attempting this for a long, long time to perfect the cloning technique. And it's heart-wrenching. It's soul-destroying when you look at Ripley, when she's reacting to confronting all of this, to the moment where she hears a whimpering in another room, and you go in there and find out that this is clone number 7. And for me, it always hurts, because I imagine, take Ellen Ripley from the first film. She's been through all of that. She's woken up from cryosleep 57 years later. She finds out that her daughter's dead. Then she goes to confront the alien again, defeats it. She's got a new love interest. She's got a new surrogate daughter. Only for those to be ripped from her again after cryosleep. Only to find out that she's got an alien inside her. She's surrounded by rapists and murderers. She manages to defeat the alien again, and she manages to sacrifice herself to kill the alien and to stop the threat of the xenomorph ever reaching to the public. And then wakes up yet again, strapped to a bed with disfigured arms and legs, and no way to end your own life, no way to free yourself, no way to have any sort of normal semblance, but to still have all the memories of everything that you've done and wake up like that. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
That's truly, truly more horrifying than any of the alien creatures in this film. And when Ripley's there, looking at this mess, this abomination, and asks her to kill her, you just, it's just a horribly emotionally scarring moment. And for me, that is the strongest point we have for the Ellen Ripley clone.
Yeah.
That's as closest to Ripley as she does get. And for me, it sort of reminds her of her humanity, because otherwise she could have just gone straight down the path of, I'm an alien and I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's such a great moment. It's extended when she does, after she's torched the whole room and comes out, and she confronts Ren, her creator, and just drops the weapon at his feet. Like, you're just not even worth it. Yeah,
Yeah.
For me, it's the most important scene in the film, because it does give the chance for the Ellen Ripley clone to become her own person, and sort of to discard the past at this point, so that she can go off on her own after this.
Yeah, my favourite scene, same scene really. I mean, that whole moment is emotional. After everything you've already gone through with the previous 3 films, this film's not brilliant, but that one sequence, just with Sigourney Weaver, is just really, really well done. Another truly favourite scene of mine is when they finally get to the Betty at the end of the film, they've managed to find a colonist halfway through who has a chestburster inside him, and they decide that they're going to try and rescue him. The crew of the Betty try to redeem themselves a little bit, and when they finally get to the Betty, Ren turns up and shoots the colonist and threatens Cole's life. While the colonist is going through the motions of the chestburster about to escape, he stands up, launches himself at Ren, takes like 5 or 6 bullets, beats the crap out of Ren's face, and then slams his head to his chest to allow the chestburster to punch through Ren's forehead. It's just punctuated with everybody just shooting this bloody pile of mess in front of them.
It is a great sequence. It's an awesome moment in the film. But then, you kind of contextualize that with the chestburster from Alien.
Yeah.
It still doesn't hold up. It's kind of like, it's just an exaggeration of that.
It is.
It doesn't really capture. It doesn't do anything, because the other characters just look at it and it's like, oh, same shit, different day. And it's just like, bang, 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 bang. Yeah, it's over. Well, just there was no thought or care for the characters, for what had really just happened. It's just kind of a very stupid, brain dead action film with the aliens. I don't recommend Alien Resurrection. Even as fans of the franchise, I watch the Alien trilogy. Alien, Aliens, Alien 3. And so very often, I stop. I stop right there. Because it's a chore to get through Alien Resurrection for the good bits. It's weighed down with ridiculous dialogue, cheesy comedic moments. The biggest amount of praise I give the film is for the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy the music, the theme music for Alien Resurrection. It is just as powerful as the music from the other films. It sort of has a melody to it, incorporating elements of the music from the other films, which I really do like. But as an end to the Alien franchise, it's just such a weak note. And the fact that the continuation has never arrived after this resurrection. We've never seen a continuation. It's not continued in any form.
Yeah.
And of course, at this moment in time, we are awaiting Alien 5. And as we know, Alien 5 is also probably going to disavow this film.
Yeah.
So that all the events in this film are never really going to take place other than in an alternate timeline, alternate universe, which still won't ever really receive its full ending.
I do recommend Alien Resurrection. As an Alien fan, I've been through it all. I've seen the horror, the action, and the depression of the trilogy. Alien Resurrection just brings it back up for me, you know? It's nowhere as good as Alien. It's nowhere near as good as Aliens. It is slightly a bit less depressing than Alien 3. But I just like seeing Sigourney Weaver on screen. She's a wonderful woman to watch. You know, this was 1997. This was still just a fledgling operations for Josh Whedon and Jean-Pierre Jeunet. You know, this film was never, ever going to be the perfect Alien movie. But none of them really are. It has some fun moments. It has some really bad moments. But if you're a fan like me, you just go with it.
I will agree with you on that point, is that I'm rating this film next to the other Alien films.
Yeah.
But if you were to place Alien Resurrection next to all of the other schlocky sort of horror movies that we do get, Alien Resurrection is still above those.
Yeah.
In terms of its technical filmmaking, you know, the cinematography, music, and everything else is still great with Alien Resurrection. But yeah, when you put it next to the other films in its franchise, it is the bastard child.
Yeah.
It really is.
But you've still got to love those bastard children too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Hey, I thought you were dead.
Yeah, I get that a lot.